What's up guys, Phoenix here. This video is going to be another card review discussion type video, and it's going to be on a new card that has come out from the Dark Illusion set in the OCG. Now this is a card that actually has not been getting a lot of attention in the community. Like, it's actually something that until literally like a day or so ago, I didn't know this card was actually released as a physical card. I thought that it was just spoiled as like, oh, this is its effect in the anime, and I was like, oh, okay, neat. But the card very much does exist, and I can honestly see why nobody's really given it much attention or thought, because as of right now, the card doesn't really have a purpose in the game currently in the OCG. The OCG's format is currently very much different from our own, and thus the card is not being played in the OCG, but it could easily have potential in the TCG. Once we get the DD pendulum support and stuff imported, it could easily be like, you know, an actual potential option for our format, depending on what the state of the format looks like when we finally get these cards. But this card in question is DD Savant Nikola, and this card was actually spoiled alongside DD Savant Thomas, and DD Savant Thomas actually got a lot of attention, so much so that it kind of drowned this card out, because like I said, I thought this card was literally just being spoiled as like, oh, this is its anime effect, it's not being released, LOL. But no, this is actually a card that actually got released in the Dark Illusions, and just nobody knows about it and nobody's talking about it. And like I said, it's not seeing play in the OCG because their format does not have a purpose for this card. But our format could easily have a purpose for this card, depending on if Monarchs and Cosmos are still threats when this card comes over to TCG Shores, and we get the pendulum support from the DDD structure deck. Like, we have all these different things that this card can actually be applied for, specifically because in the OCG they don't have Monarchs right now. The Monarch deck, the BA deck, and all that were just neutered, and the Cosmo deck doesn't exist in the OCG because that's a TCG exclusive. Now, this card can actually help in both of the Monarch and Cosmo matchups, funnily enough. Specifically with Monarchs being able to turn off domain locks and being able to just beat over big bodies that you have trouble dealing with without like clearing boards with your conventional DD methods. Just gives you a little bit extra, and then against Cosmos, it obviously lets you boost your guys to be large enough to potentially attack over ships and stuff if your hand is not ideally combo-oriented or something like that. But DD Savant Nikola. This card, I feel like it might have a purpose in the TCG, and that's why I'm talking about it today. I feel like it might actually have a niche purpose, specifically in our metagame, that we need it for, that the OCG has kind of evolved past in their metagame. They don't need it anymore because the problem has either not presented itself in the form of Cosmos don't exist there yet, or Monarchs are dealt with as a problem. But anyway, DD Savant Nikola, it's a level 6 Dark DD Pendulum monster, 2000 attack, 2000 defense, Pendulum scale of 8. It's a fiend, as they usually are. It's pretty much like just your standard DDD stats and card things. Like, the fact that it's a level 6 and it's 2000 over 2000 is really just kind of what gets it here. Against the Monarch matchup, against Domain Monarchs specifically, you can just tribute summon this. You can Pendulum out a monster, or you can like 1-for-1 Kepler, something like that. And then you can summon this and turn off Domain and then go with the rest of your plays. The fact that this is a level 6 as well lets it, you know, combo nicely with Lamia, making your level 7 synchros in the form of like Alexander and stuff like that. All these different things allow you to actually utilize different aspects of this card. But its pendulum effect is you cannot pendulum summon monsters except DD monsters. This effect cannot be negated. Once per turn, you may discard one DDD monster, then target one level 6 or lower DD monster you control. It gains 2000 attack and defense until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. So, even if you're not summoning this card, you can place it in your pendulum scale, discard a DDD from your hand, and actually make something boosted. That's actually going to be very crucial, I believe, for, you know, assisting in game shots, 1, and 2, like, it lets you deal with Cosmo, like, big ships to some certain degree and, like, ability, as well as the Monarch matchup. If you aren't able to, like, pendulum summon and then normal summon this card with a tribute summon, or if you just have a better play that revolves around that, you could literally just put this in your scale, boost anything that's got more than 800 attack that you could normal summon in the form of like Berfomet or whatever other DD that you have in your hand. I think even Orthros even is big enough. I can't remember, I haven't looked at it, but there are ones that exist, and they are easily accessible with Gate. And boost it by 2k, attack over the Monarch, potentially, and then you potentially have broken yourself out of the domain lock. There's little options here that you have available to you, which is, again, why I think this card might have a niche purpose in our format once it gets imported over here. But its monster effect: if this card in the Pendulum Zone is destroyed, you can target one DDD monster you control, return it to your hand. If you do, place up to 2 face-up DD Pendulum monsters from your extra deck to your Pendulum Zones, but their Pendulum effects cannot be activated this turn. You can only use this effect of DD Savant Nikola once per turn. Now this effect is actually really cool because it gives the deck some recovery from being, like, in the OCG they still have wavering guys. We don't have wavering guys, but we do have Twin Twister, we have things like Fairy Wind, we have mass board wipes in terms of being able to deal with pendulum scales. We have quite a few of them. Now, if you put this card in your pendulum scale, and you're able to establish any sort of DDD monster face up, which is ideally what you should be doing, your opponent can now not effectively clear your scale. They literally cannot clear your scale because this will just trigger, and it will put your pendulum scales back. Like, that's actually, like, its biggest niche purpose, and it doesn't specify that you have to do any other ones. You can literally just put the same scale that you had back. Or you could just choose different ones. Like, you can choose, like, a Kepler that might have gone to your extra deck, which is a 10 scale, and then, you know, a low scale, like, say, a Ragnarok that might be there. Like, there's definitely different options. Like, there's a lot of different options this card presents you with. And in this format where we literally, like, play cards specifically to, like, deal with pendulum scales when pendulums are the best deck, like, I can see this actually having a lot of potential use, specifically because it's really accessible. Its level is almost perfect. It's got a, like, attack boosting stat, which is actually really good for what it might potentially be used for over here. Now, like I said, the card could or could not be useful. I feel like it might fill a niche purpose here, and at the end of the day, it could just be another just DD name that doesn't actually matter. But I feel like in our format, we could potentially get some use out of this card, depending on how the format evolves between now and when we get the rest of the DDD stuff, because if we need to attack over things that are being oppressive, there's that. This lets you get over things like Majesty's Fiend, which is actually really cool as well because of its pendulum boost. Like, it just allows you to get over a bunch of different, like, Floodgate monsters as well, and that's also just really cool. This card has a lot of really niche purposes that it fills, and I really feel like it could potentially see some play over here in the TCG. Pretty much every single DDD card, or every DD card, has some sort of niche effect that fills a certain purpose, and some are obviously better than others, but I feel like this one could easily just be usable to us when we get it over here in the TCG. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this card in the comments down below. I know it was completely overshadowed by Thomas. Not a lot of people were talking about this card, but I do feel like it is good in its own right. I feel like this card is absolutely great and fantastic in its own right, and like I've said for the upteenth time, I feel like it could fill some sort of purpose on our metagame once it comes out. But anyway, like I said, that's all for this video. Let me know what you guys think about this card in the comments down below. As I've already said, like, comment, subscribe, do all the nonsense you usually do. Link is in the description to the English proxy that you see over here. If you want to access it, it's very high res. All you have to do is size it and print it for yourself. That's all you have to do with it. But other than that, if you want to support me, clicking ads on my videos and clicking, disabling your ad block, not clicking and clicking. That's like clickception. But disabling your ad block when you view my videos is more than sufficient and is the best way to show your support, and it helps me out more than I could ever express, and I would be appreciated more than you would ever know if you could take the few seconds out of your day to just do those actions for me and help, one, motivate me to continue making content. So if you want to keep seeing content, that's honestly the best way to ensure that you will get your wish, because it will motivate me to further make content of the highest quality that I feel like I can produce. And then other than that, it's all around just benefits us both, essentially. But other than that, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and take care, guys.